सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम। Last time we saw about Vachika karma, those actions which can illumine, which can induce bhakti in our life. We saw that these are those actions which can create a sense of devotion, a sense of surrender, or sense of love for the Lord. Now, next step is manasa karma. In that vachika karma, japa becomes very important. Japa is important because of unbridled or mechanical thinking. Human mind has a unique capacity to move from one subject to another, then from another to another. That is called meandering thinking or reactional thinking. Somewhat we shall see when we will discuss the meditation in the next shloka. You just start with Sri Krishna, Sharanam Mama, or whatever you say, or Om Namah Shivaya. You may start with that, but then from Krishna, mind can go to infinite objects. It can go to some Krishna Katha. From Katha, it can go to Katha Vachaka, the one who talk Katha. From there, it can go to the Katha organizer, one who sponsored the Katha. And then you can go, he has lots of money. Where did he get that money? How did he get that money? He is doing this business, that business, endless. Mind can go from one topic to another, and later on, where you started, you just don't know. You started from something else and ended up in a sense of despair, sense of dissatisfaction, sense of complaining self. He has a lot of money and he is lucky, and another fellow is lucky, they made money. I could not make money. My luck is bad. Oh Bhagavan, Shri Krishna Saranam Mama. Then you come back to Krishna. Oh Krishna, help me, my destiny, like that. So this kind of thinking, which ultimately leads you to a sense of despair, sense of dissatisfaction, sense of discontentment or pain, whatever, that thinking is mastered. That kind of thinking, you get a handle over such thinking by doing japa. So, through japa, we are conscious. What is the next thought? As of now, I do not know. But in case of japa, I know that next thought will be this only. Om Namah Shivaya, or whatever you start with. And when you do that, you slowly and slowly understand how your mind wanders, from what certain patterns of thinking, certain ways of thinking of the mind you discover. And when you discover, when you know the culprit, then it is easy to catch the culprit. Then you become conscious about your ways of thinking, and you are never taken for a ride or never taken for a reaction by your own mind. So, japa helps one to gain mastery over one's own mind. As I mentioned last time, people often complain that Swamiji, mind wanders too much when I do the japa. It is to wander. So there is no other way except practicing. And whenever the mind goes away, the only answer is bring it back. How to do that further? Same obstacle is there in meditation also. So next shloka talks about meditation. Ajyadharaya srotasa samam sarala chintanam viralatah param. The Acharya says, samam, like. What? Chintanam, thinking or meditation should be like. What? Ajyadharaya. Dhara means the flow. Ajya means ghee or clarified butter. When you pour a liquid clarified butter or ghee from one pot to another, like the flow of that ghee, or second example he gives is srotasa samam. Srotasa samam means like the flow of a water, like a river or a gushing water flow. That kind of sarala chintanam. Sarala means think. Chintanam literally means thinking, but here it is a meditation. Sarala means effortless meditation, unbroken meditation. Viralatah param. Viralataha. Virala means broken. Virata means distracted. Virala means when you get deviated from your object of meditation. Compared to that, this chintanam is better. Meditation is, first you understand what is meditation. The correct word in Sanskrit is upasana. Okay? Meditation, though there is no synonym in English, therefore they use the word meditation, since there is no synonym. Upasana in traditional meditation is Saguna Brahma Vishayaka Manasa Vyapara. Manasa Vyaparaha means what? Mental activity. Regarding what? What is the subject matter of that mental activity? Any mental activity is not meditation. Dhyanam is Manasa Vyapara. But then to worry is also dhanam. To be jealous is also dhanam. Fellow mentally feel jealous is dhanam. Or have enmity for somebody is also dhanam if it's only manasa vyapara. Then it says no. Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara. Mean thoughts that are centered on Ishvara. Jagat Karta, Sthiti Karta, Laya Karta, Ishvara. Sarvagna, Sarvashaktiman, Ishvara. So, the thoughts centered on thought centered on Ishvara is meditation. Now, Saguna Brahma and Nirguna Brahma. As of now, just understand this. With reference to creation, accepting the creator, we say the Brahman is a Saguna Brahma. Accepting the reality of the creation. Since the creation is mithya, ultimately you have to discover that. And it being a mithya, there is no creation. Please understand. But when it is there, Vyavaharik Satta is accepted. This creation that comes into being from that Brahman, or that Brahman that itself manifests as a creation in various forms, that state of Brahman of manifesting as a creation is called Saguna Brahma. And by itself, and that capacity to manifest as the creation is due to is Achintya Shakti, power called Maya. And with reference to that Maya, the Kriya Brahman is called Saguna Brahma. If I give a small example, like your dream, we create our dream. With reference to the dream world, I am the creator, and I created the dream with some unique capacity of mine to create something out of nothing. The dream objects are there, dream road, dream sun, dream moon, dream travel, dream people, unique capacity to create that dream out of nothing. That power, we can call it as a Maya. Why do we call Maya? Because there is some creation which actually is not there, but somehow gives a feeling that it is really there. That Shakti is Maya Shakti, and that creation is called as Mayika Srishti. The creation created out of Maya Shakti. Now, this creation, which actually or ultimately or from the standpoint of me, the creator is not there. But then as long as it is there, it is taken as to be real. And that I who created as though this creation is with reference to creation called Saguna Brahma. And with reference to myself as me, the individual, without that power, I am called Nirguna Brahma. It's a simple example, simple explanation. We'll deal this in later when we talk about Ishvara. So the Ishvara endowed with this power to create, sustain and dissolve, or to manifest as this entire world, Isha Vasyamidam Sarva. That Maya Upahit Chaitanyam, the Ishvara endowed with this power, Shakti Maya, is called Saguna Brahma. So, Manasa Vyapara, mental activity of Triga centered on this Ishvara is called Upasana. And that something is added. What is it? Vijatiya Vritti Rahitaha Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha Rupaha Saguna Brahma Vishayaka Manasa Vyaparaha Upasana or Dhyanam. These are adjectives. Sajatiya Vritti, Vijatiya Vritti Rahitaha Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha Rupaha. Sajatiya. Vritti means thoughts. Pravaha, flow of thoughts. Sajati vritti pravaha, sajatiya vritti pravaha. And so also vijatiya vritti pravaha, the flow of thoughts. One flow of thought is called sajatiya vritti, another one is called vijatiya vritti. Vijatiya vritti pravaha rahita, without vijatiya vritti, of the nature of sajatiya vritti is jnanam. What is sajatiya and vijatiya? So, meditation need not be a flow of only one thought, repetition of one thought. But the thought, it can be many thoughts, varieties of thoughts. But then they are centered on only one object. That is called sajatiya vritti. Like puja, there are varieties of karma. You know, like I have seen people that they clean their puja room by themselves, even if they have servants and the cooks at home. They mop the puja room. When they have to make garland for Bhagavan, they make it by themselves. They have to offer chandanam and puttu, etc. That servant don't make. They make it by themselves. They clean puja utensils by themselves. And they cook what is to be offered to the Lord by themselves. So there are varieties of karma. Cleaning, garland, making the garland, then cleaning the utensils, and cooking, varieties of karma. But all these karmas are centered on one thing, that I am doing it this for my Bhagavan, which is there in the temple. So they are puja, all Shodasha Upachara. All the 16 steps is called Sajatiya karma. They are centered for one Vastu, one Bhagavan, inviting him, and Padapakshalanam, and Argyam, and Snanam, and Alankaranam. You offer garlands, and you offer ornaments, and you offer chandan, you give them bath. Everything is called Sajatiya karma, because they are centered on one object. And that which is not centered on one object, the center of such karmas are many objects. They are called vijatiya karma. The actions or the thoughts which are not centered on one thing, they are called as vijatiya. So sajatiya vritti pravaha rupa. Thought flows of the flow of the thoughts centered on one object, which is divide of thoughts which are not centered on that object, is called upasana, dhyana. And of what object, sajatiya? What is the one object that we keep the center as a center we have? Is called saguna brahma vishaya. That is Ishvara. So continuous flow of thoughts centered on Ishvara, divide of any other thoughts, that kind of mental activity is called dhyana. And that is loosely translated as meditation. Okay? Now go one step further. This sajatiya vritti pravaha rupa and vijatiya vritti rahita, a thought flow divide of the nature of the centered on one object, and divide of other vrittis should be of what nature? Or when is it possible to have such thing? There is a beautiful example given here in Upadesa Saram. The Acharya says, Ajyadharaya srotasa samam. Two, like the flow of ghee and the flow of water. When you pour ghee from one vessel to another vessel, you see unbroken ribbon like thing. It is absolutely unbroken. And it is so much unbroken that you don't see any fragmentation over there. You just see, notice the flow. It becomes one flow. And unlike the flow of ghee, the flow of water has its own fits and stats, somewhat less and more, somewhat diversion, etc. But the river water flows effortlessly and sort of, you can say, committedly. Acharya gives here two illustrations. There is a reason. The ghee is viscous, sticky, snigdaha, and it is called in Sanskrit. So, viscosity, snigdaha, and similar word is sneha. So, meditation or dhyanam should be born out of sneha. It is out of love. Therefore, example of ghee is given. You know, it cannot be out of force. It should be out of love, like doing homework in the childhood. There was no love for homework. It was out of force, had to do. Somebody was there to push you to do, either parents or elders, teachers, or your circumstances. When you go to university, parents are not there, but there is an anxiety for mark and the job and all that. So you have pushed to do. This is done out of love. Okay? It is done out of bondage of love. It is done out of bondage of sneha. That means meditation or dhyanam is not a ritual to be performed. It is something which I want to do, something that I do born out of my love, like my hobby. And when that hobby becomes obsession, the fellow becomes professional in that particular field. Singing, playing an instrument, or playing a given game, then it becomes so much, he or she falls in love with that thing so much that he or she becomes a professional player or professional singer. So practicing for that particular person, to practice music, to practice instrument, or to practice that particular game, or do certain exercises which are warranted to keep him or her fit, they're all done out of love. So meditation is not a project, as I said, it is sheer labor of love. One, that is example. Then only it can be saja, it is easy to find sajatiya vritti pravaha. When there is love and there is no effort, and then naturally the thoughts will flow centered on only and only one thing. Exactly like a woman when she delivers a baby and when she is bringing up the child, her thought flow is centered on the child out of love, all the time thinking of the baby. Then it's not a project, it's a labor of love. So, sajatiya vritti pravaha rupaha Vijatiya vritti rahita. And second example is Srotasa Samam. Srotasa Samam means just as the water by nature seeks its own level, river flows to ocean effortlessly. So ultimately, the meditation or dhyanam should be effortless. And that to make it effortless, love is a lubricant. When the object of dhyanam is something that you love, the dhyana becomes effortless. And another thing also you can look into this example of river. As they say in India, river always goes to the place where it originated. Ultimately, the river is because of the rain waters, clouds. And then that river was originated from the ocean, which got evaporated and went back. Similarly, trying to reach to myself is also implied by the example of river. So effortlessly and committedly. There is a commitment. Every river, when it starts from the mountain and reaches to its ocean, there are so many obstacles. But all these obstacles are overcome by the river. Necessary, if possible, it will break it or it will turn around and find its own way and will not stop till it reaches the ocean. Similarly, there is no sagging mind. The mind which is committed till the end, not that it gives up in between. It gets digressed or out of fatigue it gives up and accepts that I cannot make it and leaves it. No. Commitment till the goal is achieved. That Vivekananda's statement, stop not till the goal is achieved. That kind of mindset, that kind of approach in dhyanam is implied by these two examples, Ajyadharaya Srotasa Samam. Now, before I talk about the obstacles and some more thing about meditation, it's popular meditation, I would like to tell you what meditation is not. Okay? Some of the most popular beliefs are actually misconceptions. And they have not understood the Shastra, not even given a thought, logical thinking, and devotees are put on the trip to achieve something which you just cannot achieve. Even if you can achieve, almost you cannot. Even if you achieve that, it is futile achievement. Like some of the records, where Indians have this, I was noticed, they want Limca Book of Record and then Guinness Book of Record. And what kind of record? All kinds of records they make it. So many people sang Rashtragan together. That become a record. 5 lakh people together chanted the national anthem. That's a record. We hold the record like that. Some said so many people together did Shirodhara. That is our record. What is this record? I just don't understand. Except that whether you 10 chant or 10 lakhs chanted it together. Important is, has it created the national spirit? That is important. Not 10 lakhs or 5 lakhs and all that. And for that they pay money. People come from England and they pay first class fare and hotel charges and just to get a record registration. It's some of these such records. Eat record of eating maximum idlis in 1 minute. That's a big deal. You and they say, I hold a record that this fellow, that he ate 50 idlis in 1 minute. Elephant will eat 500 idlis in 1 minute. Elephant doesn't need anything more. These are all futile things. So some of the meditations which are talked about today, I find they are very futile. Let us understand what do I mean by such, what is the such meditation? One popular belief today is try to be thoughtless. That is the best meditation. They meditate to become thoughtless. They meditate to give up the thought. And they sit there and they say, close eyes and keep on dismissing the thoughts. That is one of the most popular meditation. No thinking, blank mind is one of the best, one of the meditation. Please understand. To try to, listen this carefully, to try to become thoughtless itself is a thought. You have a thought here, no thought, no thought, no thought. That is thoughtlessness. So that means there is an effort and there is a thought. You cannot be thoughtless without having a thought to be thoughtless. It's not there. Secondly, suppose you became thoughtless for some time. You had that meditation and you became thoughtless. So what? Problems are not caused by thought. Problems are caused by wrong thinking, wrong values, wrong understanding, wrong cognition, improper cognition. Thoughts per se itself are not a problem. Your interpretation is a problem. How you look at the thing is a problem. Just by being thoughtless, you were to become wiser or your all problems are to be solved. Suppose they say, if this were true, every day when you sleep, you are thoughtless. So when you wake up, you should become wise person, which doesn't happen that way. You don't become wise and all your problems are not solved the moment you wake up. Then when you wake up, and all those things come in abundance to you. What all you had thought, what all problems that you have, what all stress that you had, what all issues that you had with your life and with the people around, that will come back to you. And it not comes back, it bounces back to you. You cannot get away. Being a thoughtless is not the solution to the life. As I said, you are thoughtless every time when you sleep. And that thinking that these thoughts are problem and one's incapacity to handle one's way of thinking, one's incapacity to handle or look, a way of looking at his life situation properly or improper way of looking creates all the stress. And when I can't handle that stress, when I can't handle that anxiety and that worry and helplessness and tension and all that, people go to toxications. They want something toxic so that I get lost. I get free from those thoughts temporarily. It is like symptomatic relief to a problem. to a disease. Like I was told, people who landed up from abroad, they showed that they have no temperature. But the cases that they came across, they were positive corona patients. But then when they landed, they had no temperature and no cough. What did they do? They kept on swallowing paracetamol tablets. And so when they landed at the airport, they tested them. They found it a normal temperature, and they took some lozenges before coming to that particular place, and somehow suppressed their symptoms of corona, and then they passed as normal person. But they did not free themselves from that disease called corona. It came up, and that is how they were caught, and that is how they were hospitalized. Similarly, eliminating thought is like taking a paracetamol, symptomatically treating myself and not addressing the fundamental problem. Okay? One. Second thing, another argument for this is, if the ultimate goal is to be thoughtless, then Bhagavan would not have given us the thoughts per se. And if you are thoughtless, you cannot conduct your day-to-day life. You become blank. Then how are you going to relate to the people? How are you going to conduct your life, day-to-day life? You just cannot do this. You cannot survive. In waking state, you cannot be thoughtless. While you are in a waking state, you have to have thoughts. You have to think, and whether you want or not, emotions will be there, and you have to respond to the world outside emotionally and cognitively. So thoughtlessness is not the goal of life. If that is a moksha, that means what? Wise person, one who has realized, should be blank all the time. Because when there is no thought, you are blank. And when there is no thought, the fellow cannot relate to world. No involuntary activity, no voluntary actions. Involuntary activity may go on in terms of breathing and digestion and etc. But then voluntary, nothing. That I want to eat is also a thought. That hunger is a thought. And that effort to fulfill hungers, when I am hungry, then I think, where will I go? Should I go to kitchen? Should I open the fridge? Or should I take all those dry snacks? Or should I eat biscuits? That is a thought. Even that thought will not come, because he or she is thoughtless. And if the teacher becomes thoughtless, how is he going to teach? Teacher cannot teach Shastra, because to teach Shastra, at least some Shastra mantra thought should be there, how to explain what to say, what not to say. He cannot teach. So every teacher who taught Brahma Gnanam cannot be realized well. So Agnana, it cannot be Gnana Parampara, it will become Agnana Parampara. Every ignorant teacher leading to, teaching to another ignorant student. Andhe naiva niyamana yatha andaha. Like the blind leading another fellow who himself or herself is blind. So, thoughtlessness is not something that is practical, much less that is not said by the Shastra as well. Okay? And to be thoughtless, you don't do anything. Go to a typical American or some Canadian who is double XL or triple XL and say some words, swear words, and get one. from him. When he gives you one, you will become thoughtless for some time. If you have one, you are thoughtless. So for moksha, thoughtless moksha, you need not go to Guru. Go to this fellow, double XL, this big black fellow standing there. You see, and they say, when you achieve the state of thoughtlessness, you will discover the peace that is Atma, which is again non-thinking statement. Thoughts cannot cover Atma. Okay? In fact, the thought is only because of Atma. It is like rope, or a snake can never cover the rope. A pot can never cover the clay. To say that if you give up the thoughts, the Atma will manifest. And the Atma is Shantaha, peace, Atma, Shantatma will manifest, is like saying, if you give up the pot, the clay will manifest. You give up the ornament, gold will manifest. Even while the ornament is, gold is manifest. Gold is never hidden. Even while the pot is, clay is there. You need not destroy the pot. You need not destroy your ornament to discover the gold. You can see the gold in spite of the ornament being there. You can see the self in spite of the thoughts. Pratibodha viditam matam. Just as you have to see the gold in every ornament, so you have to discover the self, the chitti, in every thought. This is Shastra Darshan. So, to say Dhyanam is trying to become thoughtless itself is a thoughtless statement. A statement made without thinking. A statement made without any proper study of the Shastra. Or I would say without any analysis. No logic, no tarka. And you say, you try to be thoughtless. And thirdly, you can never be thoughtless. As long as the mind is, thoughts will be there. It is like as long as the river is, the water will be there. You cannot have a river without water. So you cannot have mind without any thought. That Bhagavan Arjuna says in the 6th chapter, says something, asked the question about the mind, where Bhagavan says, Ashamsayam Mahabaho Manodur Nigraham Chalam. There is no doubt that mind will have thoughts. And as long as you have mind, there will be thoughts. You cannot be free from thoughts at any time. If you are in a waking state, if you are in a dream state, except sleep. In sleep also there is one vritti, sukshma vritti, but I will not discuss that. But relatively you can say, except sleep, you cannot be thoughtless. So thoughtlessness is not the meditation. And as I said, it is a futile exercise. Trying to be a state of thoughtless, it doesn't help you to discover the self. It can give you momentary relief from your problems. But then your problems are caused by improper thinking, improper values, improper our ideals, or I would say sometimes impractical ideals. You hold on And to lastly, but the worst thing is stubbornness to hold on. I am Mr. or Miss Right, my way or highway. These things, as there in a common parlance, they say, impractical approach to life causes problems, not the thought per se. Thinking, capacity to think is the greatest blessings given to human being only. Animals do not enjoy these blessings as much as we have. We have very well developed cognitive faculty called buddhi and very well, equally well developed emotive faculty called mana. So this is a great blessing. Equally evolved memory we have. This is another blessing. Because of the memory, you are able to draw conclusions and go ahead, gain knowledge and remember and proceed further. This is a blessing. You cannot call it a problem. Okay? So, thoughtlessness is not the goal, much less seeing some lights in meditation is a goal. You may see some light in meditation, but it is again a state of the mind, and we are not working for the state of the mind. If at all you are working, you are working for self-realization. Realization is different than achieving a particular state of the mind. One can see some lights depending upon the frame of the mind and background of the mind. But those lights do not enlighten you. It's a good experience. It's maybe a divine experience, absorbing experience, but that experience does not liberate you. So this is not that thing which we aim for. And this this mind, that it will get distracted, that it will wander around, is nature. Okay? Very definition of dhyana is that mind will be distracted. If the mind do not get distracted, you are in samadhi. It is not dhyana. Samadhi is complete absorption of the mind to the object of thought. As long as that absorption is not, and when that absorption is achieved, it is called samadhi. But as long as that is achieved, that is called dhyanam. Process of achieving is dhyanam, and it becomes necessary because mind will wander. You will get distracted. Mind will think of something which you don't want to think at this time. And that is because mind is subject to change. And whenever it gets distracted, whenever it goes out from the, away, not out, but away from the object of meditation, you have to bring it back. Arjuna said, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. Oh Krishna, my mind is restless. Bhagavan says, Asamshayam Mahabha. There is no doubt. Manaha Chalam. Mind is Chanchalam because it is my product. I know how I have manufactured it. I know how I have designed it. So it is my design. So it is going to go. You have to, whenever it goes back, you have to bring it back. Yato yato nisharati manaschanchalamastiram tatastato niyamyaitat atmannevam vasham naye. Tasmat vishayat niyamya etat atmani vashe naye. You bring it back from those objects to which it got digressed. it got deviated, and that caused you distractions. Whenever mind goes, one needs to bring it back. Now, as I said, it is sajatiya vritti. So, manasa puja is also dhyana. Understand? You visualize the Lord and you mentally do all the manas pujas, all upacharas, dhyanam and avahanam and asanam and padyam, argyam, achamaniyam, snanam, etc. All you do. Like we have that stotram by Shankaracharya ji, Ratnai kalpitamasanam himajalaihi snanam cha divyambaram nana ratna vibhushitam bhagavada modankitam chandanam jati champaka bilva patrarchitam pushpam cha dhupam tatha दीपम देवदयानिधे पशुपते हृत्कल्पितं गृह्यताम्. Hritkalpitam grihyatam. All that is imagined or visualized by my mind. Please accept. What is it? It starts. Ratnaikalpitam asanam. I am offering an asana which is studded with diamonds and jewels. No, not simple asana. Oh, it's a very costly asana. Ratnai kalpitamasanam himajalaihi snanam. I have brought this water from Himalayas, Ganga Jalam. Snanam cha divyambaram. You have taken the bath. I am giving you divine clothes. Very, very costly clothes. Some of them studded with some diamonds, etc. After all, you have to give it mentally, not really. So, vachane ka daridrata. Why should you be miser in imagination? When you imagine big thing. This whole puja, to this whole puja, I offer you chandanam with all fragrance, all perfume, mala of all these leaves, varieties of flowers, chati, champaka, bilva, patra, racham, pushpam, dhupam. I give you dhupa and deepa, and again it goes further, naived, all kinds of food, varieties of food, and a plate, golden plate, etc. I give you. That to do manasa puja itself is manasa vyapar. Their activity at the level of body and the speech is not there. Manasa puja is devoid of twofold activities. It's only at a mental level. Manasa puja itself is dhyanam. So also manasa stotra patha itself is dhyanam. If you chant Vishnu Sahasra mentally, focusing on the names, or you chant Rudram mentally, or whatever, is or Manasa Japa is also because you are doing mentally. There is, and all this, when you do Japa or Stotra, etc., the center of all the thoughts is only one, that is Saguna Brahma, that is Ishvara. So, that mental activity is also dhanam. Okay? And now, there are certain obstacles which I have to talk about it. What are the obstacles to meditation? And how to address that, we'll see it in tomorrow's class. It is important. What dhanam should be like ajya dharaya, like a flow of ghee, viscous, snehas, a love. But then what deprives you of that? Why I can't love my meditation? It should be effortless. like the flow of water. How come I can't get that effortlessness? How come I feel so much of stress to do meditation? Whereas all these are because of certain obstacles. I'll talk about those obstacles tomorrow and explain further about meditation. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.